Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Thought Leaders. It's 8 a.m. here in Melbourne. I'm delighted to be joined by Maggie Roberts, CEO of Creative Factory, one of Australia's most successful design and digital agencies. Good morning, Maggie. How are you today?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And thank you for everyone that's joining in today. You've already started your resilience by getting up and starting the day on a positive note.
Awesome. Welcome to Conversations with Thought Leaders. For regular attendees, you will know, but for those who are joining us today for the first time, welcome. This is a project we created at the start of the pandemic to connect our community with inspirational leaders from across the world. I'm also managing director of Granite Consulting. We're talent, recruitment, and HR experts. And as the pandemic moves, potentially we're only halfway through it, hopefully not, but who knows, we're spending more and more time helping people manage their careers in this new virtual world. You know, what started as a bit of a novelty is just dragging on and on and on. So that's presenting, you know, real challenges from a career development point of view. And also for companies to avoid fatigue in their people, in attracting, retaining and nurturing their community and their people. So feel free to message me directly if you need to talk more about that and just stay positive, really. Bio on Maggie before we get into it. So as I said, Maggie's the CEO of Creative Factory, one of Australia's most successful design and digital agencies. They work with brands such as Village Cinemas, Pancake Parlour, carsales.com, and all sorts of other well-known household brands delivering digital experiences. Prior to Maggie's business career, she was an elite athlete, competing for Australia for 3 different sports. The sport she was, I suppose, had the greatest success in, gave her the opportunity to travel the world, was diving, having a full scholarship in the US as well. And now she's giving back to the sport she loves so much as the director of Diving Australia for 7 years. Alongside that, she's also involved in a leadership and mentoring business, helping people realize their full potential. So that's the bio on Maggie. A couple of housekeeping items as usual. So we'll be asking for questions as we go through. No such thing as a bad question, as you'll have heard me say before. Please ask questions as they come through. We've also got the chat function open for any comments, so please contribute to that. Again, no such thing as a bad comment. We've got a book giveaway as we're doing now. So it's the Resilience Project, which Pete's going to show. This is the Resilience Project. Hugh van Kylberg, fantastic read. Got several copies of that. So to check everyone's up and at it this morning, can anyone share any good books they're reading or any book recommendations? First few comments will receive a copy of this book. Has anyone been reading at all? What have we got? People are thinking it through. The Influential Mind by Tali Sharot, Beyond Order, Jordan Peterson, The Tribute by John Byron, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Turning Right, a previous guest on our show, Turn the Ship Around, You Are the Brand, Effortless, amazing. Thank you everyone for Stillness is the Key. Thank you everyone for contributing to that. Fantastic. On to the show. Maggie, can you tell us a bit about your backstory, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I was born to 2 North American parents in Melbourne. Dad was a philosopher and Mum was a school teacher. We didn't come from a lot. We didn't have a lot of support around us. We didn't have family. We didn't have a good friends network. But what we did have as a family is what Mum and Dad's outlook and approach to life. And it's really this foundation that they gave me, in that they empowered me to make decisions from an early age, from a youngster. They enabled me to have deep thought and deep thinking and perspective, and to enable myself to reflect on those decisions I made as a youngster. And it was these tools that has enabled me to have the success that you spoke of earlier. So from a young age, I was a gymnast. From gymnastics, I went into trampolining. And at age 10, I became a world champion trampolinist. From there, I also did tumbling. And that's another sport that I competed for Australia in. And I went to the world championships in tumbling. And from there, trampolining and tumbling at the time wasn't an Olympic sport. So I decided that I wanted to take on a sport that was in the Olympics and follow a dream that I had from a very young age. So I pursued diving. And diving was a really successful part of my journey into who I became today. I've learned a lot through that journey, from being the youngest to compete for Australia in an international event to moving out of home to go to the Australian Institute of Sport in Queensland at age 14. I had a lot of setbacks, but a lot of success. And it was the time that I took through those setbacks to learn and to achieve what I am doing today. From my diving, I travelled the world, as you spoke about. I had the opportunity to go on a full scholarship in the United States. And then from that, I took my learnings, my journey, my setbacks, my achievements into who I am today, a CEO of Creative Factory and a director of a company called Telemarcus, where we support executives in their leadership skills and finding their passion, purpose and meaning to what they want to become and how they want to achieve that.
Yeah, fantastic.
But it really comes back to, I guess, the foundation of the empowerment that my parents gave me.
Yeah, fantastic. And just on diving, like so many people, I've enjoyed watching the diving and the Olympics.
Yes.
To be honest, it's probably the one time that I typically tend to watch it religiously. And yeah, I have to say that particularly the 10 meters, it looks a bit terrifying. I mean, what sort of speed do they hit the water? I mean, that must be a bit of trepidation, right?
Absolutely. So the average individual hits the water at 60 kilometers an hour. Wow. So if you can imagine, that's in any competition, you're doing probably at least 10 dives in competition per day, but the amount of training that you're doing leading up to that event in any given session in the afternoon, you could be doing 40, 50, 60 dives off the 10 meters. So you can imagine hitting your hand to a car going at 60 kilometers an hour. So it's all about, practice making perfection so that you're not faltering, because when you smack, it hurts.
Yeah, I can imagine. Absolutely. So you lived in Hawaii for 5 years, I believe.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about how you came to be there and talk to us a bit around that?
Yeah. So I had an amazing opportunity to go to Hawaii, but how I got there, it came from a bit of heartache, to be honest. So it was the year leading up to, I finished high school in 1999, the year before the Sydney Olympics. And Sydney Olympics was where I was going to be on the stage and compete for Australia in the ultimate games. I had just missed out on 1996 as a 14-year-old. So another 4 years later, I was hoping to be there. I was Optus Star of the future. Everything was heading that way. And unfortunately, I had a bad accident off the 10 meter. So at 60 kilometers an hour, I landed, unfortunately, in a hyper perspective on my back, which sent me into a world of adversity, a world of challenge, difficult times. And I was out of the water for a good year. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going. I didn't have a backup plan. And nor should you have backup plans, because backup plans is when you can't be 100% towards your goal. If you have a backup plan, I feel that sometimes you're only kind of half foot dipped in the water. So I had no backup plan, and I was okay with that at the time until adversity hit. So I decided, after a year being out, putting on a significant amount of weight, not doing a lot, that I was heading in the wrong direction. So it was from here, after many countless days of being in a bad, dark place, that I decided to get up the energy and apply for a scholarship to 5 universities in the United States. This was unknown to anyone. This was a secret little plan that I had. My parents weren't aware of this, and I put forward my resume, and I had an instant response overnight. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to choose from a few different universities, and I decided to choose Hawaii. Cool. So here I was, about to embark on a full scholarship, the University of Hawaii, and I hadn't dived in a year. I was 10 kilos overweight, and I had literally sat on the couch for a number of months. And so I decided to, let's get going. So I started running. I started the first day, I did it the second day, I did it the third day. And all of a sudden I was in this momentum, I was in this zone of getting fit. I still wasn't on the springboard. So then I decided that I was going to take a skill that I learned as a youngster, and that was visualization. And the visualization came about being able to see and train myself in those dives before I was fit enough to get back on the diving board to be able to withstand that 60 kilometers an hour that you spoke about earlier.
Yeah, fantastic. Just just interested to talk about backup plans, because what you've seen in the last few years, if you look at in the business world, a lot of people talk about side hustles. And then, so some people, that works for them. And I understand the concept of, you've got stable work, side hustle, let's see if I can get something going and then maybe do that. But then I guess you can counter that by saying, well, actually, you're either all in or you're not, type of thing. So it's an interesting sort of paradigm, really. So can you talk a bit around that and around that?
It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Because all of us with the momentum of digital, it's an exciting place. I've worked in digital now for 16 years. And we've created many startups, many very successful startups, and the whole concept of a side hustle is very achievable now. However, I do find that if we've got the day job and we're working hard and putting all our energies in that, it's very, very difficult to be doing the side hustle to the best of your ability. Finding the time, finding the energy, finding that resilience, if you do desire to do the two, is a difficult challenge. And I take my hat off to anyone that is doing that right now, as well as, leading the life that we all do, partners, children, friends, family members, and currently dealing with what we're going through at this moment with the pandemic. But I do feel that there is something about giving your 100% to that item that you feel purpose about, that you feel passionate about, that you truly believe that you're going to seek your dream, achieve your goals, and see the success that you're after.